Okay, all the furring strips, the mini ones, the 1/4 inch thick, are glued into place on all of the roof bars here. And that should hold it in place, keep a little bit of the metal warble out, give me a little extra air gap for the insulation to fit. And it all seems to be pretty smooth going here. 4 tubes of almighty adhesive is all it took. 4 tubes, not that bad.
Okay, just a couple things on what I used. I used these 2.5 inch trim head screws for framing the 2x2 so they wouldn't split, because they're pretty small size and they easily split. So this little nail screw, it's like a nail but it's a tiny finish screw, works really well for putting the 2x2s together. And then when I frame them to the metal studs on the trailer, I use these 2-inch self-drilling lap screws. And what I found was on my drill, I had to put it on the second, number 2, that's the high speed. When I was drilling the holes, I had to drill pilot holes through the wood using this bit here, because otherwise the screw got hung up in the wood and backed itself out, and it was just a hassle. So I just pre-drilled everything on number 2. I started the self-drilling screws on number 2 setting there, and then had to switch at the very end and kind of pulse on number 1, which is more power, pulse the screw in all the way so it was very tight. So that's what I did, that was my process, and I used this almighty construction adhesive, which is non-toxic. You can imagine inside an enclosed trailer how terrible the fumes would be using the commercial stuff you buy at Home Depot. So I highly recommend Safe Coat Almighty Construction Adhesive. It has absolutely no odor, no off-gassing, nothing toxic, so you can use it in tight spaces, and I used it in abundance. As you have seen, I've put it everywhere. And that way, if any of the screws come loose while transporting, none of the studs will be, loose. Everything will stay solid and tight. So that's kind of the method I used, and I don't know if it's the best, but it's what I did. So far it's looking really good. The walls all framed in. I do have to put a piece of wood over that so we don't have any what they call thermal bridging. Any metal, I guess, exposed can allow heat and cold to come through. So I'm going to insulate it. I'm going to put a piece of wood on that piece, and then there's one more piece over there. So all the metal is now covered except for the wheel wells. That'll be next. I'm going to frame a box around those so that I can also insulate the wheel wells. Got the wheel wells framed in. Cut a whole bunch of little pieces and screw them all together so we can insulate the wheel wells as well as all the walls. So we're slowly finishing up all the framing